I'm Rob Chapman.
Hi.
And this is Anderton.
Yes.
And this is a very sensible video because today we're selling you a £4,000 Gibson acoustic guitar.
We say sensible.
About as sensible as we can muster.
Yes, we're going to do the best we can. Clearly, we don't often demo £4,000 acoustic guitars, and there's an awful lot of hard work and technology that goes into making a guitar like this. So rather than mess about, we thought we would try and do a slightly more sort of serious
Also
video.
worth saying that the audio from this is available on SoundCloud from Maplewood Studios. So if you want to get a super, super high quality sound sample, go to this link, Pajazzle being right here.
So what is this? This is a brand new acoustic guitar for 2011 from Gibson that has been co-designed by the very famous sort of singer-songwriter Browne. And and I think what I liked about it, we'll go into some of the spec and the detail, but what Browne says on his sort of piece on the Gibson website is he was trying to design an acoustic guitar that would be the equivalent of the grand piano of acoustic guitars. So what he's done here is he's taken one of his, he apparently has a huge collection of old vintage acoustic guitars, and one of his absolute favourites is a 1930s Roy Smeck Gibson signature model, which was basically this shape. And what he's done is he's deepened the body size, and we'll give you some an idea, perhaps in some close-ups, of how much deeper it is. But it's significant. I mean, it's a good inch or two deeper.
Easily.
Yeah,
easily an inch deeper
than you typically find on a guitar like this, a small-bodied Gibson guitar. And it's what's called a 12th fret design. So this is where the 12th fret of the guitar actually meets the body. Typically you'd see 14 fret designs on an acoustic, and that's again designed to have more of the neck in the body to give a sort of a more sustain and more tone.
They call it getting you a sweet spot, don't they?
Yeah. In terms of timbers, it's Adirondack spruce top. Adirondack spruce was the exclusively used on all sort of pre-war Martin acoustic guitars. It's the real famous kind of type of spruce to use. Scalloped bracing, English walnut back and sides, which is kind of ironic that the wood on the back and sides of this guitar was probably made not far from here, or grown not far from here, sorry, and then sent all the way to America, and it's come all the way back again. Gold-plated hardware, vintage-styled machines. It's a one-piece, quarter-sawn, solid mahogany neck, rosewood fingerboard. Let
me give you a tiny bit of sort of a tip from Eddie Kramer. When I recorded with Eddie Kramer at Abbey Road Studios, he told me, if you're ever going to play an acoustic guitar, and this would be a nice one to play at a studio like Abbey Road, you don't want to grip it hard as you play, because lots of acoustic guitar players sort of lean over and manhandle it and kind of what you call dulling the bell. If you imagine holding a little bell and then it go bing, and if you grip it hard, it go bit. It's the same thing with an acoustic, it resonates naturally, so you want to hold it as loosely as you can so that it sits there and sings in your lap rather than kind of dying.
Nice tip.
Nice tip, yeah. Didn't work for me though.
For this first segment of the video, you're just hearing this mic'd up with an AKG C414 straight into Sticks interface.
Yes. So you can already hear that, depending on where I strum, you get a massive variety of tones. From your kind of warm, jazzy fuzziness, through to the sort of really bright timbre that you get back there, which is rather nice.
It's come strung with 12s, this, so, and what we've done is we've drop tuned it a semitone, I think.
I downed it a tone, actually.
A whole tone?
Yeah, only because when I play acoustics, I find that some guitars have a kind of real resonant frequency spot, and these are such massive strings, a bit tense for me, so I dropped the tension a bit. But I found that down a tone, it just had this nice, fat, warm punch.
It's got a lovely sustain. It's really, really worthwhile actually you going and downloading the clips from the SoundCloud site, because the quality that we're able to upload onto YouTube, although it's going to give you a good idea, it's not going to be as deep or as high definition as the sound you can download.
It's just going to compress the hell out of it. So. Django.
Bit of Django.
You could do it with 3 or 2 fingers and a thumb.
Yeah. Jackson Browne's first album came out, I think, probably when I was born, you know, beginning of the 70s. So here's a guy who's been very successful playing acoustic guitars for nearly 40 years now.
And the reason I played an Eagles bit was because he wrote for the Eagles, and he's written with loads and loads and loads of amazing artists. A bit like Lady Gaga.
Isn't it? Do you know what always amazes me? Amazes me how, when you've basically got a guitar with a flat bridge and a non-compensated nut, you know, just a flat nut, how do they get? They must spend hours just getting the intonation absolutely nailed on.
Yeah.
Sticks creaky stool there. I'm amazed because I was having a little play around on this, and because it's a 12th fret guitar, you can't, you know, you're not playing anything really above the 12th fret, but you know, you can play chords up at the sort of 7th, 9th fret, you know, and we're on, you know, I've played hundreds of acoustics where the intonation's not quite right up, you know, and so you get to chords up there and you've just got nasty tuning issues.
F sharp 13?
I couldn't tell you whether that was an intonation issue or whether that was nailed on. Nailed on. So yeah, but the intonation is spot on it, and when you do play a nice acoustic guitar with good intonation, because there's none of that sort of disharmony or in any of the chords, it just sounds fab. So I mean, play some chords that are sort of more, you know, further up the fretboard. So you can see what I mean about the internet. I mean, it really, it's beautiful. I guess the type of acoustic guitar player that's going to get a lot out of this is going to be someone that is generally a chord player or a finger picker. There's no cutaway on this guitar, and the 12th fret design does mean that, you know, pretty much everything here is almost redundant, really, isn't it? Unless you're going to play in a bizarre style. Really good bassing on this, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's bassy without
big muddy.
Without being muddy and without having to lose. You know, if you take something like a J200 style, you know, it's got all the bass, but you get that by sacrificing some of the mid-range, whereas this has got all the bass end and it doesn't appear to be sacrificing anything else. So let's talk about the electrics that are in here, because that's kind of new as well. And there are actually two versions of the Jackson Browne acoustic. You can buy it as a straight acoustic, or you can buy it with
a mullet.
A mullet, yes. Or Amulet. And this is a company called Trance Audio who have designed really super top-end kind of electronics for this. So we've got two transducer pickups under the bridge here, one more towards the bass strings, one towards the treble strings. That comes out of this guitar. There's a little preamp built in there, a stereo preamp. Comes out via an unusual sort of 5-pin or a little like a sort of a mini MIDI cable into this Trance Amulet Preamp, and then from here in stereo into the interface. And we were having a little bit of a play around with this earlier, because really onboard, every guitar that I've ever played with an onboard preamp and pickup system is really just designed for live use. They're very bright, very punchy, don't feed back too badly, so great for live use. But the minute you record with one and compare that sound to the sound that you would get from a microphone like this, it just sounds nothing like the guitar. And so really they're just designed for a live thing. I think this is probably as close to a mic'd up guitar sound as I've ever heard on an acoustic guitar preamp. It's still, you can still hear the difference, and we'll do that in this section now by sort of showing one or the other. But it's, you know, when you think that, I mean, this is pretty close. So when you're looking at the Jackson Browne guitars, you'll see one quite a few £100 cheaper than this one that you can buy, which will have no electrics in it. And as I said, this one here is the one that sells for about £4,000 with the electrics. So I think whilst Chappers are starting, what I'm going to do is I'm going to point at whether or not you're hearing just the microphone, just the preamp sound, or if I do this, you're hearing both at the same time. And that's a great, easy technique for you to do if you're recording, is to get a blend of the two. The Amulet preamp here is very simple, runs on either batteries or a 12-volt supply. Just got left and right output to go to the desk here, the input from the guitar, and an independent gain control, so I can adjust the volume of the guitar if I want. Little handy sort of battery test light there as well. We opened this up earlier on just to put the batteries in it, and it's all very tidy in there, as you'd expect, I guess, on some very professional kit. Let's go. I think what we'll do now for the rest of the video is actually, we're just going to basically use a blend of the two. We'll leave it up to our excellent soundman Stick to just sort of blend a little bit of the preamp with a little bit of the microphone, which should give the best of everything. And Chappers is going to play a bit, and I might strum something awful. love this. It's good when you get into it. It's got so much depth. You can play soft, you can play hard, and everything kind of comes through, can't you?